Good evening, everyone. We are back with our last installment of Dream December. My name is Eddie Young, and I have the honor and privilege of serving Fort Mill High School as our career development facilitator. And I have before you tonight my friend, a good man that I met over Twitter. I'm talking about Mr. Coach Peters. He's here with us tonight, and we're talking just a little bit about the ins and outs of collegiate recruiting. Coach Peters, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. This is one of my favorite topics. It touches me personally. I'll just get into that a little bit. I was a kid, under recruited like most kids, not because I was phenomenal or anything, but just because even just 10, 15 years ago, the game was different. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have all that. I saw my mom spend a lot of money to help me get recruited. So that's the source of my passion for recruiting. I want to help kids realize that there's no reason to spend a bunch of money. All you need is the information, man. So that's really what we're going to get into today.
I tell you what, and that is so great to know that you have a heart and a passion, because there are so many young people in lots of different sports, and they're in totally different circumstances and situations. Because the blessing is that all of this information is out there for them, but that's also kind of crazy because they get a lot of bad information too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And that's why I try to keep it real, man, because there's a lot of times people give you bad information because they have ulterior motives. They want your money. They want, that type of thing. So that's kind of what I want to combat. I have a bunch of friends that helped me start Find Your Fit, and that was our passion. We all played ball. We all played at a lower level where we had to kind of scratch and grind for our scholarship money. So that's what it's about, man, is grinding and find that information and avoid vultures and avoid traps that are set in this industry, because that's what it is. It's an industry, man.
And that's another very good point, because I think a lot of times we see education as being in it for the good of the students. And
Hmm.
while that is very much so true, there are some people who don't always have your best interests in mind. I know this isn't quite on subject or it's the thing that we talked about, but tell us a little bit, like, how can you kind of find that vulture? Like when you see that vulture, or how can you best determine whether or not someone is really trying to help you out?
Well, and we'll get into this a little bit in detail a little later. But the biggest thing, man, I'll give an example for, like, for instance, camps, man. Um, if there isn't a college coach at the camp, then it's probably a money grab. It's probably a waste of your money. And that's the same thing with information, with recruiting information. Find out what these websites and what these services are going to do for you. If that's something that you can do yourself, maybe that's not something I need to pay for. So that would be the first thing I would look for is where am I adding a middleman that there doesn't need to be a middleman? That would probably be the primary thing I'd focus on.
Absolutely. I tell you what, Coach Peters is coming to us all the way from Georgia. As
Yes.
you're coming in and watching, if you have any questions, feel free to type the question in. I guarantee that we're going to get to it, or at least we'll talk at least a little bit about it tonight. But I tell you what, I don't want to hold this presentation up any longer. Coach Peters, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, brother?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I've been waiting. I'm excited about this. So, what we'll start with is when to start. I wanted to start with this because a lot of times I run into families who think it's time. Recruiting's not important until I'm a junior or senior. And that is absolutely not the case, man. So I've created somewhat of a timeline that I'm gonna read off to you. And Mr. Young, also, I have a link to my website. I have this information that I'll provide to you, and that'll be available at the end. But for now, I'll just read off this timeline. So we you start with your freshman year. So as a freshman, some things that you can do, you can already create a Twitter. And honestly, um, I've seen eighth graders that have created Twitters. There's nothing wrong with creating this early. This is very important. This is a very simple step. Unfortunately, I've run into seniors that don't have a Twitter, juniors that don't have a Twitter. But if you're not aware, this has become one of, if not the best platform for recruiting that we have today. So as a freshman, you can create a Twitter. What you want to do with that Twitter is immediately follow your high school coaches and your teammates. Okay. Like your teammates' content, anything that they post about scholarships or the program, like it. Just learn how to use Twitter and start engaging people. All right. Obviously, when you create your Twitter, you want to have a picture of yourself, um, preferably a picture of your face. Nothing crazy. You don't even honestly, you don't want a picture with you and your homeboy or your homegirl. Just have a picture of yourself, maybe playing football. What I really love is the headshots that a lot of teams take at the beginning of the year. That's great. Also, very important. You want to have your Twitter bio set up properly. Okay. So in your bio, you need to have your name, okay, the school you go to, the position you play, your class. When I say class, 2021, 2022, 23, 24. Okay. You need to add your email address, your phone number, okay, your height and your weight. If you have film, a lot of freshmen won't have this yet, but you want to put your film link there. When I look at your bio, I should have no questions. I shouldn't have to ask anything, honestly. I should be able to know your height, weight, position. I should know how to contact you if I'm interested. So that's what we do with our Twitter bio. Okay. Um, Something you want to do, something that's very important. We kind of alluded to this when we were messaging earlier, but you do want to go to one camp to get your feet wet during this time. Okay. I will go into detail about the types of camps later, but as a freshman, there are third party camps, is what I'll call them. Those will be your camps like Rivals, Under Armour, camps that are not hosted by a college. This is the year that you may want to go to a camp like that, because what you're doing here is getting experience in a camp setting. Okay. This will be very important for you later. So, very important freshman year. I want to go to one camp. Okay. So, next we'll move on to your sophomore year. Okay. We already got our Twitter set up. So, we're going to continue following coaches and building relationships. Okay. You want to go to one or two additional camps this year. Okay. Again, you can do a third party camp this year. This will probably, if it were up to me, this would be the last year that you do a third party camp. Okay. What you now want to do, this is vital. This is probably the most important step that I've mentioned now. As a sophomore now, we want to ensure that our transcript is on track for D1 eligibility. Okay. And I'm going to address that in detail later. That's probably my most detailed section. But we want to ensure that we are on track for D1 eligibility. The reason we aim for D1 is because those are the highest standards in terms of grades and test scores. Okay. So if we qualify for D1, then we qualify for all of the other levels. Okay. So now we'll move to our junior year. And I call this the expensive year. Okay. The truth is, parents, you're gonna spend a little money. What I want to make sure is that you're spending that money in the right way. So, Mr. Young and I talked about a little bit about camps. This is when you're gonna spend to travel. You're gonna spend to go to these camps. Okay, you're gonna spend to visit schools. Okay. So I'll go into details. So here is when you're pounding your film. By now, we have some film. We're pounding our film on Twitter and via email. Okay. We're calling coaches to ask about junior days. Okay. We're going to create a list of 5 schools. I'll go into detail about our list that and how we'll use them also. But we're going to create a list of 5 schools from each level that you would play at. Okay. And you'll begin calling and emailing and contacting them on Twitter with film, measurables, and grades. Okay. Here's where our money kicks in. On our own, we want to start visiting a school at each level. All right, I'll get into detail. There are 4 levels we'll focus on. We want to get on campus and walk around a school at each of these levels. For me in Georgia, I have a school at each level within 30 minutes of me. Okay. So if I wanted to take a kid to that school, again, this is separate from the football program. If I wanted to take a kid to that school, I could go to that school. We could get a feel for the campus and start to understand, okay, this is the type of school I think I would like. Okay, I don't like schools like that. Okay, this is the time to start getting your feet wet and understanding what types of schools you're interested in. Okay. Additional to that, this is when you will start taking official and unofficial visits to schools that have shown interest in you. One common misconception is that this is limited to Division One. That is not the case. I've had several kids go on junior visits in NAIA. This is something that I think it's a great experience. Even if you don't go to that school, it's something that I remember from the time that I was getting recruited. It's awesome. And I really believe you don't really know a school till you step foot on it. So again, just like the visits we take on our own, this is when you start going and getting a feel for the football side of the visit. Okay. Um, Again, this is the money year, so we still got to go to camps. We want to attend one mega camp. Okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit in just a little bit about that. Mega camps. I'm not sure if you all have mega camps in South Carolina, but in Georgia, we have these things called mega camps where you'll have 20 colleges there. Okay. Something that's awesome about that, especially you guys being in South Carolina. Last year, I helped run a mega camp. We had kids from all over come down to go to that mega camp, and kids are getting offers at these camps. Again, this is a camp where college coaches are at the camp. College coaches can run drills. They're taking notes on the sideline. We love those camps. Okay. I don't mind paying. This. This is something that I find funny. These camps are only about $35. The third party camps where there's no coaches there, how much are those? Those are $250. So that's all. That's something I find interesting. But the camps we want to go to, they're in that $35, $40 range. Okay. Those are the mega camps. So in addition to a mega camp, you want to go to 2 school camps. And what a school camp is, say for instance, the University of West Georgia has a junior day camp, right? We want to go to that because that's the coaches at that school are looking to offer scholarships or recruit kids that come to their campus on that day. So that's how we get our interest. Okay. Another tidbit I just thought of, I talked to a kid about this today, man. Something that we want to keep in mind is that coaches are all buddies. So if I go to a school at West Georgia, if I go to West Georgia's camp and I show out, maybe he thinks I'm too good to play at West Georgia. He calls his buddy at Georgia and says, "Hey, dog, this kid can play. You need to recruit this kid." And so that's something we want to keep in mind is, and even on Twitter and any dealings we have with any level coach, they all talk to each other. They're all friends, and all the ones at the lower levels want to get to the higher levels. And a lot of the times that happens. So when we're building these relationships, let's keep in mind we never know where that person can be or who they know. Okay. But so that's our junior year. Most two important things. We're going to go back to our transcript, make sure we're on track. Consider credit recovery if needed. If we've made a mistake somewhere along the line, junior year, this is when we need to, I need to retake that class. I need to make sure that my credits are good. Okay. We need to be watching our transcript from our sophomore year on and make sure we're on track. Okay. And lastly, take SAT or ACT in your junior year. Okay. Last part of my game plan for my seniors, you're going to send a first 3-game film, a mid-season film, and a final senior film to the schools that you've been really pounding with film or that have shown interest in you. At this point, you want to retake your SAT or ACT if needed. Attend any unsigned senior camps where schools are in attendance, and then sign a letter of intent to play college football. So that's my game plan. That's lengthy. I know I have a link for that where it's real clean. We'll share that at the end of the presentation. But yeah, that's my timeline. The biggest thing I want you guys to take away from that is we don't have to wait till we're juniors or seniors to start getting recruited. We're actually probably too late at that point. We need to start ASAP. Freshman year is probably the latest I'd like for us to start. Okay. So let's get into the levels of competition. And this is so important. Everybody wants to be.
Coach Peters, let me hop and ask you one quick question.
Go ahead.
Because and first of all, you are giving us absolute gold. This is really, really good information here. But this is applicable not just for football, but for any sport, correct?
Absolutely. And again, you're gonna have to check me on that. I think football. But absolutely, this is now the levels of competition will be football specific, but the information about contacting coaches, the information that you'll hear will be applicable to any athletic scholarship or any venture trying to get some money to play sports.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So now we'll go to the differences between the college divisions. Again, this is football specific. These change based on the sports. And a lot of this information obviously will change based on the roster size and the sport. But we'll get into this. So Division I FBS. Okay. There are 130 D1 football bowl division series schools. Okay. These are the top collegiate football programs in the country. No shade to anybody else, but that's just how it is. Okay. This is the cream of the crop in football. Okay. Your D1 FBS teams have 85 total scholarship players on their team. Each scholarship in an FBS program is a full ride scholarship, which means that all expenses are covered. Okay. So D1, you get a scholarship, you're there, and then no loans. We're not paying for anything. Okay. So
Right.
now let's get into FCS. All right. So FCS is the level under D1. There are 127 D1 FCS schools. These are schools that are Division One, but compete independent of the FBS. Okay. So these are still D1 again, but these are not your Alabama, Tennessee. These aren't those schools. They actually compete for a different trophy. They have a playoff system that they use at the end of the year. Okay.
So this is like North Dakota State.
Yeah. Yep. So something really important about all these schools is funny, but every category I list here for our kids that have aspirations after college, there's a kid in the NFL from each category. So in 2020, we are not D1 or bust, even if we have aspirations to play ball afterwards. Okay, so that's just a little tidbit. I don't speak much at all about playing ball after college, but that's a fact that I don't think you can gloss over. So FCS, and I want to be clear about these scholarships. Remember, I said in the FBS, 85 scholarships, and everybody that's on scholarship is a full ride. That changes when we get to FCS. So FCS, you get 63 scholarships. But the difference here, the real difference here is that those 63 scholarships can be split up among everybody on the team. So you may still have a 90-person roster, but you only have 63 scholarships to split up. So now we're getting into people having partial scholarships, okay, and putting packages together to get kids into school, okay. So now we'll get into Division II. All right, there are
now when you're talking about putting packages together, does that mean like they'll get some of their money from the sport and then some more academically? Correct?
Absolutely. And I'll mention that even more as we go, but just to kind of fast forward a little bit, D3 schools are great at that. D3 schools notoriously can't offer athletic money, but you'll meet a lot of kids that don't have to pay a lot of money to play football or play a sport there because they've got a merit scholarship or an academic scholarship, and then a $1,000 scholarship because they visited the campus. So when I mention packages, that's what I'm talking about. And these schools are creative. Division I schools aren't the only ones that want to win. All these other schools want to get great kids too. So they'll just be a little more creative about how they can get kids into their doors. So so speaking of that, D2, there are 169 Division II schools. So significantly more in this division. These schools have 36 scholarships. So about half of the scholarships FCS has. Okay. So here is where you'll really start to see these really creative packages. Again, D2, that's a really high level of ball. Okay. The top level kids at D2, they're not taking out a bunch of loans to go to school. Okay. So really, some of those kids may be full scholarship at a D2. Maybe they're good enough for me to use a whole scholarship as a coach there. Or maybe we've given them 75%. We've given them some academic money and we've given them a merit scholarship. Okay. So that's something that is super important. And I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that I can get money other than athletic money and it spends the same to the college.
That's right. Absolutely true.
So D2 is, like I said, 36 scholarships. A little more likely that you'll have partial scholarships here. NAIA, I'm a huge fan of NAIA. Played at two different NAIA programs. There are 96 National Association of Intercollegiate Athletic Football programs in the country. These schools have 24 scholarships. It is very rare that a player on these teams will have a full athletic scholarship. But in both instances in my programs, I did not pay much for school at all. had a great deal of a nice athletic package, had some academic money, thankfully, because of my ACT and SAT, and then had some other merit scholarships again because I visited. So NAIA, I love. It's a very competitive level, and they still give really good money for athletes. And then finally, what I've listed here is D3. There are 250 Division III football programs. D3 schools do not offer athletic scholarships. However, you can receive academic and merit scholarships at these programs, but no football money. One, one thing I'll say about D3 schools, these are usually your private schools that are a little bit more expensive. Okay. So to get into a D3 school, a lot of the time your grades are at a point where you're going to get some academic money. The two other levels that I'll mention is JUCO and prep. Just quite frankly, JUCO and prep, these are schools that we don't want to. I don't want to have to send kids to these schools because of academics. That breaks my heart. I understand if there's a physical, they're missing something physically. They got to get faster. Maybe they got to catch the ball better. But it breaks my heart when I see kids having to go to these schools because they didn't handle their business in the classroom. So that's why I don't go into too much detail. But if you have run into a situation where you need a credit or your GPA isn't high enough, there are some great JUCO programs that do a great job of putting kids and matriculating kids into other schools. And there are also prep schools that do a great job of that. I don't want to see it happen for my young kids. I don't want to see that happen because of academics, man. I'm big on that.
And really what I'm hearing is at all levels, regardless, and I know we'll touch on academics a little bit later, but the classroom is crucial. You absolutely have to be right in the classroom.
Oh, yeah. And something that's I understand is different from even 20, 25 years ago. It used to be if you were good enough, well, they'll make something happen for your grades and they'll bring you in. Now they're just going to go get a kid across the country that's just as good as you. Mm-hmm. So it's paramount that we handle our business in the classroom because that very well could be what gets me the scholarship over that other kid.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing is we also have to think about the concerns that coaches may have is what if he brings you in, what if she brings you in, and then all of a sudden during the middle of the season, you're no longer academically eligible.
Absolutely.
And then they can't use you at all.
Absolutely. Now I've wasted a scholarship. And something else that coaches think about, my team GPA. That's something that I really like to boast about when I want to get a new contract. So that's something that coaches think about. If I can bring a kid in that's just as good as you, but he going to bring me a 4.0, best believe we're going to go that route.
That's right. That's right. So I tell you what, you ready to go and hop in and talk about academics too?
Let's get into it. This is the big one right here. So this is honestly, in my opinion, the most important part of the equation. If you don't handle your business in the classroom, doesn't matter how good you are on the field. Okay, you could be NFL caliber. If you don't have the grades or the test scores to qualify, we're gonna be watching you NFL caliber and JUCO. All right. So this section is made up of two factors. The first factor I'm going to start with is GPA. All right. So commonly people understand the GPA requirements for playing college football. Most people understand if you're under a 2.0, it'll be difficult to find somewhere to play. Honestly, if you are under a 2.0, you cannot play at any of the levels that I mentioned earlier other than prep and JUCO. So right there, you're not a 2.0, you're going JUCO or prep, or you're going to be at the crib university. Okay. So right there, we already know we can't even come close to being under that. All right. Now I mentioned earlier we're gonna aim to be D1 eligible because that's the highest level. So that's how I'm gonna speak to y'all academically. So first of all, speaking of D1, if you don't have a 2.4, all right, we mentioned 2.0, you can't play anywhere. If you don't have a 2.4, you will not be eligible to compete at D1. They'll offer you at best, they'll offer you a scholarship and they'll redshirt you because you're not eligible. They'll redshirt you till you get eligible. You're going to have to take a bunch of courses that all your teammates don't have to take because you didn't pass. Okay. This has been modified during COVID, but it's always been the baseline GPA. So I expect that 2.4 to go back up probably as early as next year. So 2.4 is really what we want to aim. I don't want to hang around under that. All right. Um, I've written here, it's important that student athletes do not consider their GPA as a minimum requirement, but rather an important part of your resume. All right. A good GPA means a coach doesn't have to worry about whether or not he can trust you. We talked about that. If I don't have to worry about you being available on Saturdays, that's one more reason why I like you on my roster. All right. Um, it also means that you're responsible, you can handle your business, and that directly impacts your value to a football team. Okay, again, same concept. I don't have to worry about you messing up. I don't have to worry about you not handling your business. Okay, if your GPA looks like you did just enough to get by, I can expect the same from you in college. All right.
Mhm.
People don't, you ain't just gonna flip a switch and say, okay, I'm in college, I made it to D1 now, I'm gonna be an all-star student. All right, you've now created habits. Okay. And coaches know that. All right. So from a freshman year, let's create habits of being outstanding on the field and in the classroom. All right. So then when we get to college, this is easy. This is light. Okay. Um,
You know what I love about what you're saying here is we're reinforcing the good, and
mhm.
that we don't want to say and, sometimes we look at a GPA requirement and say if I only get this, I'm okay.
Right.
But that mentality will follow you. It'll travel
Exactly,
with you.
exactly. And that's my thing is like, yeah, we're not stupid. Yeah, we understand that there's parts of school that we don't like, but let's understand that everything that we do is training for something that we'll do in the future. So if we go about something in a subpar manner now, that's how we'll know how to do it in the future or know how to approach any other venture in the future. So that's where I'm at is let's create habits of being great. And the thing is, something that I didn't personally understand until I got older is that it's really hard to be great at one thing or be very intentional about being great at one thing and then not doing so in another thing and shirking your work in another direction. Okay. When you're great and you strive to be great, that permeates the other parts of your life. And so when you are intentional about doing well in school, you'll notice that you're more motivated and more able to do well on the field. So
I
that's
tell you,
huge.
when you think about that, it's like that good and that work habit will permeate. It's going to spread through every other part of your life.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, how I know how a lot of us as coaches, where we say, we're not just preparing you for the game, we're preparing you for life. Therefore, you put this extra effort into your academics. When you're at your job, you're going to put extra work in.
Mhm.
When you have a family, when you're married, you're going to
Yep.
put extra work in. When you're in the community, you're going to put extra work in. So go ahead and apply that academically and watch how it spreads throughout the rest of your life.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. That's all this is training. That's all it is. So yeah, so now I'm gonna move on to credits. Now I'm gonna move on to credits. This
Now,
is
before you go to credits, now the GPA, is that in all of their classes or just their core classes?
that's a great question. So this is core classes only. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. This is core classes only. So and this happens a lot. So no one should be embarrassed if they think this way. But a lot of times you ask a kid what his GPA is, he'll tell you something like a 3.6, right? But he's talking about his GPA for all his classes. So he's adding PE and health and art in there. Man,
Same good thing.
we're talking about your core classes, your math, English, history, science, the classes that you have to have in order to be GPA eligible, or excuse me, D1 eligible. And again, I say D1 not because that's it's D1 or bust, because that's the highest standard in terms of academics. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about your core courses. So again, your core courses is your math, English, history, science. Those are the classes that your GPA matters in. Okay. Great question, Mr. Young. Great question. So we'll now move into credits. Now credits is tricky. This is the part that varies from high school to high school. There are some schools I've actually been at both of these types of schools. There are schools whose curriculum naturally will keep you on track to receive all credits necessarily, and then there are schools that'll let you pick your credits. And if by your senior year you don't have all your credits, we told you what you needed to take. So with that in mind, man, when we're freshmen, when we're creating our schedule, we've got to know, okay, boom, I got to have this many maths, this many sciences, this many Englishes. Okay. So that's something that we really have to be versed on. And I have a link that I'm going to share also at the end that goes into detail about those specifically. But I have some information here about credits. It's possible to have like I said, it's possible to have a very good GPA, but not have the necessary credits to be eligible to play at the next level. All right. So for this reason, you got to check each semester, literally each semester, make sure you're on track to have all your credits. All right. This becomes more important when dealing with a failed class. If you have failed a class that is an NCAA core course requirement, you must put replacing this course at the top of your priority list. Okay. So I have a small timeline for this for credits. As a ninth grader, start on the right track. Review the NCAA's core course requirements and make sure your schedule is made accordingly. Okay. As a 10th grader, register with the NCAA clearinghouse. Okay. So again, your 10th grade year, you want to register with the NCAA clearinghouse. This is how the NCAA certifies that you are eligible to play. All right. I want to take a pause here and make sure people understand this. All right. We got to register for the NCAA clearinghouse. You don't want to be doing this your senior year because now you got to go rush and find all your transcripts and find out who you got to talk to get all the information you need for it. We want to make this our sophomore year, and we want to be adding our transcripts into this as we go through high school. Okay. The again, this is literally just the organization that certifies eligibility to play. Okay, they'll receive your test scores and they'll receive your transcript and they'll receive your final official transcript when you're done with high school. Okay, and they'll make a determination on whether you are eligible to compete now or whether you'll need to redshirt and do credit recovery. Okay, so clearinghouse huge. All right. The NAIA also has a clearinghouse. You do not have to do the NAIA clearinghouse early. It is a much simpler process. A lot of the times they'll have you do it after you've signed your letter of intent. Okay. So moving on to 11th grade. Be sure you're on track to graduate with proper core courses. Again, we're checking this constantly. Now, as I mentioned above, we're taking the ACT or SAT. Just like our GPA requirement, this has been waived for the 2021 class, but very important, can be helpful in earning you additional money. Just like you mentioned, we want to flip this on its ear. We don't want to think about this as minimum requirements. We want to think about this as, okay, I'm building a resume. Okay. So if I can record an ACT or SAT that's really high or that's very impressive, and another kid didn't take the SAT because he didn't have to, it's very likely that I might get taken over that kid. Okay. So let's think about it that way. Let's build our resume and let's see if we can get a test score that looks good. Also, I don't want us to get comfortable in this wave test score thing because it could be that these test scores are required again for the 2022 class, 2021 class, or 2022 class. So I say, let's just go ahead and take that test, juniors, this year. If we need it, we need it. If we don't, we don't. Finally, for our seniors, also junior year, upload your transcripts to Clearinghouse. Okay. Finally, for our seniors, retake ACT or SAT, complete amateurism questionnaire in the Clearinghouse. That's just a set of questions that you'll compete. They're trying to verify whether you've made money playing sports before. That is becoming less relevant with and I could talk about that all day. But with the court case where they decided that amateur athletes can be paid, but that's all that is. They make you answer some questions your senior year in the clearinghouse, and you'll upload your final transcript. So again, I know that sounds like a lot. I have a document created for that too, but the main thing academically, man, and I'll be done. Two things: our GPA. We want to have at least 2.4. What I tell my kids is we want to have at least a 3.0. And if you ask me, I'll say take the test. Why not? It'll cost you a little money. That's all it'll hurt. You don't have to submit it if you don't want to.
But I know you said it's a lot, but coach, the great thing about it is literally is just small steps, bit by bit by bit. And the better you perform academically, the easier it's going to be for you. And really with the clearinghouse is just, it's a constant check because, and quite frankly, if we're checking our transcripts every semester, and then at the end of 2 semesters, we're uploading our transcripts to the clearinghouse.
Hmm.
It's just a continual process, and it's something that we always tell our athletes, right? Is fall in love with the process. You know,
Absolutely.
it's not always the result, but the process is what's going to help you be successful, not just now, but later on.
Yep. And that's a great point. If we can just break it into a process and we do every little bit as great as we can, the outcome will be awesome. And the thing is, like we've mentioned this whole time, that's true for life. If we do what's right in front of us to the best of our ability and focus on that, we'll probably be good when it's all said and done.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Now, one thing that we have alluded to that we haven't quite hit on yet, um, conduct and character.
Yes, man. So huge, probably just as important as academics, conduct and character. So you've said this, man. No coach wants a headache of a player, especially in 2020 when I can get kids all over the country that can play ball for me. I'm not going to take the one now that will give me a headache or that I got to wake up at night worried about it when it did something or I got to get him out of trouble. Okay, so and I've written it here. A coach has to concern himself with scheme, grades, running a staff, and all kind of football related stuff. He does not want to add babysit into that list. That is not why he signed up for the job. Okay. Um, and I just love how all this stuff goes hand in hand. You want to create a reputation of being a high character young man, and that starts ninth grade. It really starts before that. There's a lot of schools that go from K to 12. That starts before that. But you want to create a reputation where everybody that's come into contact with you can say that you are a high character, that you are a yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am. Look someone in the eyes when you're talking to him. If I ask him to do something for me or I ask her to do something for me, it's done. That's what you have to create a reputation to do. And the thing is, I'll keep it real with you. Go ahead and think about it as my end goal is I want to be successful. Okay. It may sound selfish, but if I can create a reputation of being high character, it will pay me dividends in the future. That's how we've got to think about that. Conduct, man, let's stay out of the principal's office. Something that you might not think about, these coaches will go ask your principal or go ask your APs about your conduct. How many times he been in your office? Be real with me. How many times you seen him? Is he gonna be a problem with me when he comes on campus? That's the stuff they want to know. They want to know. They already know about football. They watched your film. Now we gotta know. I gotta find out what he does up here at this school. So very important, guys. Our character precedes us. And conduct, don't let that be. I've seen kids have to go JUCO because of that, because the schools have heard about their reputation, and you got to go to JUCO, grow up a little bit, brother. So conduct and character, man, that is vital. Don't let that be a reason that you're sitting at home, or don't let that be a reason that you have a bad reputation.
You know, the beauty in what you just said though is that it all relates back to our student athletes keeping the end goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that coaches have many different options, and and actually you hit on a very good point. Not only is there talking and communication amongst people, amongst principals and potential coaches, but even between school buildings, and just like you said, coaches talk amongst themselves who are recruiting. It's like, hey, we would really like to bring Bobby in, but man, we can't afford another headache on the team. And all of a sudden now that coach is thinking, if they can't afford it down at Ball So Hard University, why can we afford another headache?
Exactly. I'm not. You know what? We ain't even gonna go over there, coach.
Mm-hmm. I won't do it. Now, the next thing that you talked about, which I think is really important, and I think this is where a lot of folks get hung up, is film.
Man, film. This is huge. So specifically, what I want to talk to is what your film should look like here. Okay. So at the very beginning, there's an option or an opportunity for you to put text at the beginning of your film. Okay. I've seen kids put song lyrics, a quote, stuff like that. Man, no, use this opportunity just like we use our Twitter bio. So here You know what I want you to put? I want you to put your email, phone number, and your Twitter right on the front of the film. Okay. So that if I like the first 30 seconds of this film, let me just go back to the front and see who I need to call or email or message about it. Okay. Very important. All right. You don't want to have your film, you don't want to have a great highlight film and then have a coach wondering, okay, how do I contact this kid? Okay. So you want to put that information there. Another thing you can do, you want to add your high school, and you can put your high school coach's number there too. Okay. A lot of the times, colleges will call to your coach before you even hear from them. Okay. And I think that's a good thing. I,
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing. And so, and you know what? I'm going to take a step back. That goes back to conduct and character. You don't think you're just going to ball on the field and be a butthole to your coach, and your coach ain't gonna say nothing to the coaches that call him recruiting, because your coach is not gonna put his reputation on the line for you.
The fraternity and sorority of coaches, they talk to each other.
And
So
they keep it real.
a whole hundred. Now, one thing that you mentioned as far as conduct or contact with your email, do you suggest that recruits have a specific recruiting email address?
Absolutely, that is a great question. So, um, what you want to do as far as email is you want to put just your name, and if your name is already taken, put a number behind your name. Okay. You don't want to be put I'm so player at gmail.com or none of that, man. Let's keep our name in there. So if I get an email from this guy, I know who it is, right? I should know who I'm emailing from the email address. So yeah, you want to make a recruiting emailer, and this goes for the rest of your life. You want to have an email that you don't play with. You have a business email, an email that email looks professional, and this is where all my business gets handled. Okay. And
Perfect.
also, to your point, you want a separate inbox because I don't want to miss anything in this inbox.
Yeah, yeah, that is one thing that I have noticed with a lot of our students is the I don't check my email or I don't check my school email. Um, I'll tell you, quite frankly, having worked at different colleges and universities, you must get used to checking
Mhm.
your email.
Mhm. I would get in. I'm sure you would too. We get in a lot of trouble. We didn't check our email.
Whew.
Mhm.
Wouldn't have a job, my brother.
I'm telling you. So yeah. So but I just wanted to segue back to that. But back to film. So the very first thing after we put that information at the front, put your top plays up front. Man, what a lot of kids do, Mr. Young, is they just go through the year. So say I make my film at the end of the season. A lot of kids will put their highlights from game one at the front. Then next will be their game two highlights. Then next will be their game three highlights, and that's the order of their film. But what if I'm playing my best ball at week 9 and 10? Coach probably won't even watch that part of the film because I'm gonna tell you what, they're gonna watch 45 seconds, a minute and a half of film. Okay. They're not watching your whole 5 minute film. I'm gonna be honest
That's
with
it. That's it.
you. Okay. And
For,
so
so, so literally 45 seconds to a minute. That's it.
yeah. And yeah, that's it. And coach, I know what kind of player I'm dealing with, or I should know what kind of player I'm dealing with in 45 seconds. What's that? That's about 7 to 10 clips. So
That's
my
true.
my best 7 to 10 clips should probably be in the front, unless I don't want the coach to know what I got going on or what kind of player I am. So that is huge. One of my kids, last night, I was watching this film. He had an interception. It was a huge interception, made a great play, made a great read, picked off a ball, baited the quarterback into a throw. Right. So I click on this film. I'm like 2.5 minutes in. I haven't seen an interception. Right.
Rare is it.
Yeah, so I had to hit him. I said, like, brother, that's your best play of the year. That needs to be the first play on your film. Okay. So and it's gonna take a little bit more work than just going game by game. But it, I think it's probably worth some money to go to school. So put your best plays in front. Go watch all your plays. Put the best plays in the very front of that film. Again, 45 seconds. If it ain't, I need to see it in them 45 seconds. Okay.
That's word. That's word right there. I love that. That is good stuff. I know there are a lot of different highlight film production places out there and websites.
Mhm.
Do you recommend any?
So, and I don't want to step on toes, man. But again, when we first started, remember I mentioned that I want to do this by cutting out the middleman as much as possible.
Hmm.
Get on huddle, especially these kids. These kids are very savvy with their hands and this technology. Get y'all butts on huddle and make your film. All right, don't got to pay nobody to do that. The one tip I'll give you about doing that easily, because it gets very hard if you wait 10 games. Right after every game, literally the Saturday morning, that next Saturday, it's fresh on my mind. I remember how I played and what plays I made. Go make that game's highlight. Okay. If I do that after every game, by the end of the year, all I got to do is okay. Now let me watch all these and see where my top plays and all these are and put them together, as opposed to watching 10 games at the end of the year to find highlights. Okay, so that's a tip that makes it real easy, and I enjoyed making my highlight film when I was playing. Go make your highlight film, man.
I mean, you said something really good there. I mean, a lot of our students are very tech savvy. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have two middle schoolers, and they have shown me some things that they made on TikTok, and I'm like, okay,
Right,
oh,
right. They pay people to do
right,
that.
right.
Right. But that's my thing, man. These kids can do that. Take some time and do your film. So the last tip I have, man, and this is a very important one. Be well rounded in your film. Do not put only plays of you run blocking, for instance, if you're an O lineman. Show some clips of you blocking at wide receiver if you're a receiver. Okay. Be well rounded. I don't need to see the same thing over and over. Okay. Think about what all in a position entails. Okay. I need to show all of those skills. For an offensive lineman, I'll use that example again. I need to be able to pass block. I need to be able to run block. I need to show that I can move in space if I'm trying to get out and block on the perimeter. Okay. Even if you think you're the best deep ball catcher in the world, don't put 45 seconds of catching deep balls on your film. Okay. Let me see you block. Let me see you run a slant. Let me see everything. Show me that you can play multiple types of this game, playing multiple offenses and defenses. That's very important.
That is perfect. And once again, that's something that will translate to any and all sports. We don't want to just see dunks.
Mm-hmm.
Show some mid range in there. But
Man, and to that point, so I was working with one of my favorite kids ever. He's a basketball player last year. Kid can hoop, great player. Um, his thing is the part of his game that he likes the most is that he dribbles very well and he breaks people down well. So the first film he sent me was literally 7 minutes of him being Allen Iverson. Okay. I don't know if he can finish. I don't know if he can shoot from beyond the arc. I don't know if he can pass. Well, I know that, but from the film, I didn't. And so we fixed this film, and he got literally, we fixed this film. Honestly, a lot of kids would hate to hear this. We cut it in half. We cut his film in half. We made it more well rounded, and he got several offers within 2 weeks
look
just
at
off the film. Okay. And so again, and that's any sport. Baseball, man, show me you can do everything. Really, show me you play more than one position in baseball. But all sports, be well rounded. Show me that you can do more than what your coach asked you to do at high school.
perfect, perfect. Now we hit on this just a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring it back up. Social media.
Oh man, so this is one right here. All right, so I'll start with the basic first. All right, we talked about your Twitter bios. Okay, you want to have your class position, school name, GPA, test scores, height, weight, email, and phone number in your bio. I should not have to ask for any of these things as a coach. When I go to your page, it should be there. Okay, I shouldn't have to message you. It should be there. All right. This one right here, boy, this is the killer. This next one right here, coach. All right. Check your likes. All right. So, on Twitter, you got that tab that it says likes. Okay. All right. If I go click on that tab, I should be able to go show that to your mama without you blushing.
Come
Okay. All right. Coaches, look at this stuff, man. Guys, if you are on a recruiting board, okay. I have one of my buddies who coaches in college now. He told me that they do this. So they have a whiteboard, right? Everybody on their recruiting board, their names on that whiteboard. Okay. They have Instagram, right? Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, right? And they will take notes every day of what they see on those social medias. Okay. If they see something they don't like, you know what they do? They wipe that name off of that board.
gone.
Yep. Off social media. Again, guys, we're in 2020. These guys will go get somebody just as good as you if they're worried about your character. Okay. Don't leave any question. All right. Make a recruiting Twitter. Use this Twitter for football and recruiting only. Anyway, okay. Don't even like something that's not football related. Okay. Now Twitter's algorithm is such that things that you like, that like say, coach, you like something, I may see it on my timeline because you liked it. You
That's
didn't even have to retweet it. Okay. So be cognizant of that. If I like something, it could show up on this coach's timeline. Okay. Is that something I would want to walk in his office and show him on my phone? Okay.
what's crazy about this is I think back to my time when I was hiring students, and part of what we would do is literally just what you said is, all right, so Bobby Royal just applied to work here at the university. Let's go
Mhm.
look at his Facebook. Let's go look at his Twitter. Let's go
Oh
track
yeah.
everything down.
Yep. Because I can probably figure out a good bit of who you are from your social media.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What are some things that student athletes need to stay away from on their Twitter? Like I know we talked about what like don't like anything other than football on your football Twitter, but
Yeah.
what are some things that you're like, this is a little dicey. You probably want to steer clear of this.
So I'll be honest. This is one that is controversial, but I'm really big on it. I don't. If it has cussing on it, there's no reason for a student athlete to be liking that stuff or sharing that stuff. Even I don't want to sound old school, but even cuss words, even rap lyrics that are inappropriate, even memes that are inappropriate. Even if it's funny, it's something you think is funny. If it offends a class of people, or if it has words that you wouldn't say to your mama, that stuff, even that stuff that this ain't that bad, man. But would you go to this coach in your first impression talking to him, and would you say this to them, or would you show this to him? That's how I want to look at it.
That's good. That's good. That's good word right there because you just don't know.
Hmm.
And if liking that post could potentially cost you a scholarship, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Like it in your head and keep it moving.
That's right. That's right. My
But
brother, you're doing really well here on time. I tell you what, let's keep it pushing. And
okay,
you talked about the camps earlier. How about yeah? Well, give us a little bit more about these camps.
yeah. So real quick, camps, man. This is a big one because we got everybody and their mom running camps now. So my first point here: avoid money grab camps that don't do anything for your recruiting. All right, that term money grab is important. These are camps that they were set up to look real nice. They got a real nice flyer. They might got somebody cool to say they coming to the camp, but there will not be any coaches there. This camp will not do anything for your recruitment. Okay, that's what I call money grab. All right, if college coaches are not there, I'm being repetitive with this, but I wanted to drill this home. If college coaches aren't there, it's likely that the camp is not productive for your recruitment. If the college coaches are not at that camp, I cannot be confident that this is going to help me in my recruitment. Okay. That's huge, guys. That's huge. All right. College camps are the best. When I say college camps, I mean University of South Carolina Junior Day, right? Clemson Junior Day, University of Charleston Southern Junior Day. You know what I mean? Those types of camps where you coming on campus on their facilities to go work out. Okay. Those are great camps. Okay. Mega camps. I alluded to these earlier. These are camps where you'll have 20 to 30 schools there. This may be at a neutral location. One that they do down here is LaGrange. They do one at LaGrange College, but they'll have 30 schools come. They do another one at Mercer down here. They have 30 schools come. But again, we mentioned you could walk out of a camp like that with 10 real offers, 15 real offers. Okay, so those are good.
You know,
Other
I hate to cut you off, but you just said something that's really important. You said 10 real offers. So are you saying that there are some offers that are
Mm, yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. We're gonna talk about that too. That's actually in my next section, so I want to hold off a little bit on that. Okay, but we'll talk about that. But that's a good point. Okay, but lastly on camps, um, the other type of camps that I mentioned are third party camps, and those will be the rivals, Under Armour. Nike, those camps. Okay, the ones that sound real cool, Rivals, 24/7. Those are third party camps. Coaches really don't care what happens at those camps. I'm gonna be honest with you, but they're good for you to go compete with other kids and see where you're at. Again, coaches don't care what happens at Rivals. Nick Saban does not get on Rivals.com to look at what's going on. I promise you. Nick Saban isn't looking. Let me see where the 5 stars that Rivals has. Let me see. No, that's not how he's recruiting. Okay. But that's it for camps. So next is communicating with coaches. Huge. Okay. So be formal. Okay. Yes and no, sir. Complete sentences and punctuation. This is not your homeboy. Don't talk to him like that. Okay. He doesn't know how intelligent you are or how respectful you are. So you need to show him. Okay. Every communication with the coach is like an interview. Do not ruin your first impression. Okay. This next one is huge, man. I hate it for y'all, but fake coaches are all over the place. Okay.
Wow.
Before speaking to a coach, find him on the school's website, look at when his profile was created and how many followers he has. I hate that I have to talk about this, but it's real. There are fake coaches everywhere. They're all over Twitter. There's just bad people out here, man. So protect yourself. Find them on the school website. A lot of time the school website will have their official Twitter on there. But do some verifying. Make sure that they got the followers that they should have. Their Twitter isn't a week old. Verify, guys. Next up, ask coaches to be transparent with you about your recruiting class. This is a big one. Who else are they recruiting at your position? Where are you on their board? Okay. This is a big one. That's a tough question, but honestly, coaches are willing to talk to you about that. And they'll tell you straight up, you know what? I got 2 or 3 other kids at your position. If they don't commit to us, then that's what will come your way. Or they'll tell you you're number one on our board. Okay, they'll tell you this. And more now they're getting pressured to keep it real when you ask them those questions. So ask. Feel free to ask. You're interviewing them too. Okay, you have to be comfortable too. All right.
That's a really good word. I remember as I was interviewing for jobs, I was reminded that not only is the business or the school interviewing you for this position, but you're also interviewing them to see how
Absolutely.
well you will fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? And that's the beauty of this, man. Please take that into your professional careers, guys. You're doing the interviewing too. Be comfortable in that. Be confident in knowing that. Okay. It's got to be a fit both ways. All right. That's the case with recruiting. So, all right, this is a big one. When talking offers, be sure that you understand what is being offered and the terms of that offer. There are 2 types of offers, okay? There are committable offers and non-committable offers, okay? So a committable offer, this is an offer that you can commit to right now. If you committed right now, you would become an official member of that school's recruiting class. These types of offers are not possible without a transcript that qualifies. Okay? These offers are not possible. A committable offer that I can commit to and become a part of that recruiting class are not possible if I don't have my transcripts that qualify for Division 1 or qualify for that level of play. Okay. The next type of offer is the one that you see all over Twitter mostly. When you see the people saying this is my 10th, my 11th offer, most of these are this type of offer. And that is a non-committable offer. Okay. A non-committable offer is contingent upon something. Okay. This can be your performance at our junior day camp, a final transcript, a test score, or anything. Okay. The key here is that this offer does not mean anything more than the school is interested in you. You still have work to do here. Okay. This goes back to us talking to our coaches and asking our coaches and being comfortable asking, Coach, what type of offer is this? Can I commit to this offer right now? Okay. So that is the big one, guys. And that's the one that's, I see a lot of kids that are watching other people get all these offers and are getting, kind of down on themselves. But you got to remember, a lot of this is just lights. It's just a lot of glitter, guys. It's a lot of glitter going on. All right. A lot of these times when these kids are getting these offers, they could not go to that school yet. They could not commit to that school yet. So that's very important to understand.
So you
Um,
so you have to have a transcript that will actually get you admitted to the college in order. So a lot of these early offers are kind of almost like, we like you and we want you to keep us in mind as you develop.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. It is a game. That's what it is. And a lot of times the coach isn't going to tell you, hey, this is a non-committable offer. All they're going to say is, we would like to extend an offer, a scholarship offer to you. Okay. And you find out 2 months later when they got the guy they want that, oh, that wasn't a committable offer, right? Ask questions. Let's find out, okay, you offer me a scholarship. What does that mean, coach? Can I commit to this offer?
And I think and even the way you just said it, it's very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Inquisitive, you're asking for clarification. So that's something that all of our student athletes, I really want you to put that in your back pocket is, can I commit to this offer right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they say no, that's not a bad thing. We know where we stand. Maybe now I can work towards, okay, what do I need to accomplish to earn that committable offer? Right. Okay. And so next about offers, usually a position coach or head coach will be the one to offer you a scholarship. Okay. A graduate assistant will most likely not do this. Okay.
Mm.
It's very important, though. There are instances where you won't talk to the head coach and you'll get a scholarship offer. Okay. So that's not necessarily like, oh gosh, is this real? Okay. An assistant coach can offer you a scholarship.
Gotcha.
Um, if you are unsure, okay, feel free to ask a coach. All right, like we said, ask them if you have a scholarship offer from their program or whether that offer is contingent upon additional factors. Um, that's huge, guys. Remember, this is an interview for you guys too. You're interviewing them. Ask questions and understand where you are. Don't get to February and that offer isn't what you thought it was. Okay. Oh, and last thing I'll say about communicating with coaches, because this is very important for the when we're not dealing in full scholarships as most kids are in, ask about the money. Okay. A lot of times these schools will say that you have a scholarship offer, but they won't tell you what that number is and they'll play around with it. Ask what that number is. Can I get a financial package? Can you show me what that looks like?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times kids, I was this way. I was kind of nervous about that. Like, is that proper etiquette? Should I ask? Yeah, you should ask. This is your future that we're talking about. And it doesn't have to be disrespectful. Okay. But we'll just ask, Coach, could you kind of walk me through what my financial package will look like with this offer? How much will I be paying? Okay. Ask those questions.
That's great because at the end of the day, like you said, it's your future that you're talking about. And then if you decide that you are actually going to enroll in this school, but your financial package is only worth $500 or $1,000, and you're responsible for paying the remaining $19,000,
Mhm.
$40,000. Now you've kind of painted yourself into a corner where maybe there was another school that would like you, like that would want to have you on the team, on the volleyball team, on the basketball team, on the football team, but because you thought you had a big time offer, you pushed them off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the two things that we talked about already, clarity, ask for clarity from your coaches, and don't burn bridges from coaches. All right. You just triggered that thought to me again, man. So now we can move on to recruiting services and recruiting sites. Real quick. This is the big one. This one kind of got me, I got kind of popping when I first started with this one. But over here, I don't think there is any need to pay anyone for recruiting. I don't think so. I think if you follow the plans that we've discussed tonight, um, and you really do well in the weight room, do well in the classroom, you will be in a position to where schools will find you an attractive athlete at whatever level that you're suited to play at. Okay, so I am not. I don't think that it's necessary to pay for athletic recruiting. Okay, several of my college coaching buddies have told me about the thousands of emails from recruiting services that go unopened. Okay. Again, several of my college coaching buddies at different schools talk to me. They know I'm in the recruiting. They tell me we get thousands of emails from these recruiting services and they go unopened. Okay. Keep
So
that
the
in mind.
recruiting services send emails to the college coaches,
Yes.
and
Yes.
coaches are like, I don't have time.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So, and it's something that we do naturally as humans. I won't get on a soapbox about it, but we get what I forget, I'm blanking on the term, but it's called like advertisement blindness. But once we start seeing certain advertisements, or we see advertisements in a certain fashion over time, we don't even, our brain doesn't even tell us to engage it. Okay. So over time, when they're getting these same emails with the same exact format from this same website, they're going to just keep scrolling by it because it's the same old thing. Okay. And so honestly, I don't see the value in, I can send an email and my email could be, customized to me. I can put a subject line that may catch somebody's attention. Okay. I can go on Twitter and just shoot a quick message real quick. So why would I pay $1,000, $1,500 to do that same for somebody to do that for me?
That's right.
Right. That's where I'm at with that. So again, you can do everything these companies can do. You can literally do anything they say they'll do for you. Um, Honestly, the truth is, most of the time, they don't have, these coaches don't want to hear from those guys. Coaches like to talk to coaches. They're not sitting in scouts. They're not picking up the phone and talking to rivals.com or scout.com or, these websites. It's just the truth of it. I'll be honest with you. Okay. This is the last one.
That's honestly, coach, that is so good to hear because I see all these different websites. Like, you mentioned a couple of them, but there are so many more that are out there that it's all about, well, we got to rank these players. We got to put this one and who's the best player in this
Oh,
class.
man. I want to talk about that for a little bit. I do want to talk about that for a little bit.
Have at it, brother. Have at it.
Man. So, and I kind of just mentioned it, man. But this is a big one because kids don't like to hear this because kids think opposite. Stars and rankings do not matter. They are for fans of college football. That is what that is created for. Nick Saban is not getting on rivals.com to look at all the 5 stars and pick out who he's going to recruit. Nick Saban is talking to coaches that he knows. Who you got for me this year, coach? You know what I'm saying? Is he cool in the classroom? Can he play? Right? And so, very important, guys. I don't get caught up with I need stars. I need to go to this camp so I can get a star. That is the biggest. Like, I hate what it does to our kids because our kids now are thinking that's what it's about. And they're thinking about, I need to get recognition so I could get stars. When that's for college football fans. That's for people that have nothing to do with the game anyway. Okay. That right there is a killer for me, man. This star system it was created by people that don't coach football and a lot of the times didn't play the game that we love. And that goes beyond football. A lot of the times these guys ranking these basketball, baseball players, they didn't play the sport. They're just fans of it and they write well. Okay. Coaches is who you need to impress. Your coaches, college coaches, that's who you need to impress, guys, not these newspaper writers, these website writers. That is huge, man.
And John Morant was a no-star recruit.
Yeah, incredible. Yep.
Won NBA Rookie of the Year. It's not
Yep.
about what someone rates you. It's about the work you put in.
100%, man. 100%. And just last thing I'll say, man, is these these ranking sites, there's no way they could have access to all the athletes anyway in the country. So there could be 5 stars they've never seen, man. Don't worry about that stuff. Play your game. Play your game and handle your business. So my last major point, man, and I made this one last on purpose because it's a tough one sometimes, but it's absolutely vital to our success in this recruiting process. And it is be realistic. Okay. This is a tough one. I've had conversations that some kids haven't wanted to haven't wanted to have about this one, but I'll just jump right into it. Everyone is not Division One. Okay. There are just over 1 million high school football players. Only 2% of them will play D1.
How
Okay.
many? How many?
1 million high school football players. Only 2% of them will play D1. Okay. That means if there are 100 kids that you're thinking of right now, 2 of those 100 kids will play D1 football. That's FBS or FCS. Okay. Keep that in mind. That is so important. All right. Now there's 2 ways you can take that. Okay. A lot of times when we're young, we take that like, man, I don't care. I'm D1. I'm the best out here. Okay. The best way to take that, the mature way to take that is get in where you fit in. And that is why I named my company Find Your Fit. Okay. Because we're gonna find where we fit, and we're not gonna force a circle into a square hole, right? Okay. So, if you are, and this is hard truths right here. If you are not clearly, I want clearly is bold. If you can hear my voice in bold, clearly is bold. If you are not clearly one of the best players on your team, you may not be a D1 caliber football player. With that said, be realistic about your recruitment. You may not be a D1 kid, but that doesn't mean you cannot find money to play somewhere. Okay. I want to completely erase this notion that there's a hierarchy of if I played at this level, I'm better than somebody that played at this level. All right. A degree is a degree. None of the jobs I've had asked me where my degree is from or was that even in consideration. Okay. They just wanted to know if I had it and if it was applicable to what I was doing. Okay. This is about going to school, and this is about us going to school for as little as we possibly can. Okay. When we have an ego and pride, that sometimes get in the way of us being able to do that.
You know, the what I really want to stress to everyone who's watching, who will watch the replay, um, when you fail to have a realistic self appraisal of yourself and about your ability, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a goal, everybody has a dream and an aspiration, but unless you put in the work to get there, it's not going to happen. And quite frankly, if we're talking about especially Division 1 athletes, sometimes you just have to win the genetic lottery.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you said it because the truth is, me. All right, I'll take me for example. I'm 5'8", and I was very good at football. It don't matter how good I wasn't going to play for Nick Saban. He wasn't taking me at 5'8". Wasn't nothing I could do about it. I could have lifted as many weights as I wanted to. And sometimes we just need to be realistic about that. And the sooner we can do that, well, will save us so much heartache.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely perfect. I tell you what, Coach, I really, really appreciate you. You have given us a wealth of knowledge and great information. So thank you once again. Can you please go ahead and type that link in there for me? Because I want people to be able to find you and reach
Absolutely.
out to you and get in contact with you. So for those of you who are watching, remember this is Coach Sheldon Peters from Find Your Fit Recruiting. He's a football coach down in Georgia, but he has this recruiting service where he is helping young athletes find their best fit, find where they are best able to connect and plug in. So we want to thank him and honor him for being here with us tonight. And you see the Christmas tree in the background, so we know he's.
Yeah, I had to get festive on you. I had to get festive on you, man.
Here you
I'm what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share 4 links, and I'll go ahead and tell you what each of these are. One is my recruiting game plan that we alluded to today. Um, One is an article on how to leverage college athletics to create a better life. We talked today a lot about how to get to college athletics, but in this article, I talk about how to use being a college athlete to your advantage and how to create success in your life off of that. Again, I said I don't speak much about playing professionally because most people won't do that, but there are things that you get from college athletics that will help you in your career. So I'm typing that now.
So the first link that I posted, that was the scholarship game plan, the timeline. So that's up there for you all to connect with. This next one,
That's the leveraging college athletics.
yeah, and that is really that's absolutely true because there's so many tools and trips and tips that you will learn and just experiences that you will learn from being a collegiate athlete that will help you in your future. I wasn't blessed with that opportunity, but I have a few friends who were able to play collegiate athletics whether it's football, basketball, track, baseball, and all the skills that they've learned have really been beneficial to them. And this last one is going to be the social media guide, which I
Yep.
think is absolutely crucial.
Yep. And I have one more after that, and it's just 5 tips to make yourself easier to recruit.
Perfect. Perfect.
But Brother Young, I appreciate you, man. Um, last thing I want to say, man, is again, guys, get started early. If you need help, reach out to me. Again, you'll never hear me ask you for $1. All I want to do is share some knowledge. But good luck, guys. Stay safe.
Coach Peters, once again, we thank you. We appreciate you. And until next time, I hope you all have enjoyed not just Dream December, but No Limit November. And we'll see you all in the new year. Hey, have a happy, merry, and safe holiday season. We'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.
See y'all. Thank you.